Watching the Marvel Cinematic Universe series of movies in one go. According to the story timeline, this is the second one, that is, Captain Marvel, the most powerful superhero of Marvel, released in 2019. She is a super powerful being who can defeat Thanos in an instant, a female superhero with the belief that she controls her own destiny. Her superpower is to absorb all kinds of energy and use it for herself. In Avengers Endgame, from the shocked expression on Thanos' face when he looks at Captain Marvel, it can be seen that this woman is extremely powerful. So where does Captain Marvel come from? How did she acquire her superpowers? Let's find out. Captain Marvel's original name is Carol Danvers, and she is a native of Earth. In the original comic books, she was born into a white family in Boston. Her father favored boys over girls and sent her two younger brothers to college, while Carol had to drop out of school and work. For her dreams, she joined the military despite her father's opposition. While on a mission in Afghanistan, she was captured by the enemy. It should be known that different countries treat enemy agents in very different ways. After being tortured, Carol did not betray her country. Eventually, when terrorists attacked the local government, she took the opportunity to escape successfully. After returning to the United States, she was appreciated by her superiors, got a promotion and a pay raise, and also met the scientist Walter Lawson. However, Walter Lawson had actually died long ago, and the current Walter Lawson was impersonated by a Kree named Mar-Vell. In the comic books, Carol and Mar-Vell were in love, but in the movie, the character of Mar-Vell was changed to a female character, Dr. Wendy Lawson. Dr. Wendy Lawson still retains the setting of being a Kree. She was sent by the Supreme Intelligence, the highest ruler of the Kree, to Earth as a spy with the intention of stealing the light. Speed Engine, which is actually the Tesseract. In the previous Captain America, the first Avenger, Captain America and the Red Skull had a final battle on a plane. The Red Skull intended to use the Tesseract to eliminate Captain America, but the Tesseract suddenly activated its energy on its own, sending the Red Skull to an unknown planet. And the Tesseract also fell into the sea. Later, while salvaging Captain America, the US government also found the Tesseract and gave it to Sachiel. Founded a special research team and tried to follow the Red Skull's example of using the Tesseract to create weapons ahead of their time. One of the projects to develop light, speed spaceships, was named Project Pegasus, and Dr. Wendy Lawson was the main person in charge. Although Dr. Wendy Lawson was a spy sent by the Kree, she fell in love with Earth and its people and chose to betray the Kree. During a test flight mission of a fighter equipped with the light, Speed Engine, Dr. Wendy Lawson and her student Carol were attacked by the Kree. Their fighter was hit and crashed onto the ground, and Dr. Wendy Lawson was seriously injured. Carol was very surprised when she saw the blue blood flowing from Dr. Wendy Lawson.
I gotta destroy it before they get here.
What? Lawson?
My name is not Lawson.
Before Carol could figure out what was going on, the Kree captain Jan Rog appeared, killed Dr. Wendy Lawson, and attempted to steal the light. Speed Engine. Carol trusted her teacher, Dr. Wendy Lawson, very much, so she immediately chose to destroy the light. Speed Engine. As a result, after the light, Speed Engine exploded. All the energy entered Carol's body, and from then on, Carol, an Earthling, was completely transformed. Jan Rog took the unconscious Carol back to the Kree's home planet, Hala, erased Carol's memories, renamed her Vers, and trained her to be an outstanding Kree warrior. However, Carol still occasionally dreams of some memory fragments. These memories of her previous life make Carol feel both strange and confused. So every time she wakes up from a dream, she has to spar with her instructor Rog to release her power. At this time, Carol is easily influenced by her emotions, and although Rog teaches her carefully, it seems to have no effect. Finally, the Supreme Intelligence, the leader of the Kree, has to come out to teach Carol in person. The Supreme Intelligence is the leader of all the Kree on Hala. The appearance of the Supreme Intelligence seen by each Kree depends on their subconscious. Since Carol's subconscious is Dr. Wendy Lawson, the Supreme Intelligence seen by Carol looks like Dr. Wendy Lawson. The Supreme Intelligence first taught Carol to learn to control her emotions. Then the Supreme Intelligence gave Carol a task, saying that the Skrulls' invasive actions had threatened the survival of the Kree. So a difficult task was presented, to eliminate the Skrulls on the front line and rescue the undercover commander. Rog quickly assembled a team of Kree warriors. They flew their spaceship through a space, jumped to the border planet of the Skrulls. Then, under strict disguise, they took a space submarine through an underwater passage and sneaked into the territory of the Skrulls. However, as soon as they approached the target, they were ambushed by a group of Skrulls disguised as refugees, and a fierce battle ensued immediately. Carol secretly rescued the undercover agent who needed to be rescued this time, but surprisingly, the undercover agent who was rescued was a Skrull in disguise. Carol was electrocuted and captured in the chaos. Seeing that there were more and more Skrulls, Rog decisively ordered a retreat. Carol was tied up by the Skrulls somewhere and they started to read the memories in her brain. While exploring Carol's memories, they found that the most important person in Carol's memories was a woman named Wendy Lawson, and there was the icon of Project Pegasus engraved on her chest, which seemed to be what the Skrulls had been looking for. However, when they tried to further check the coordinates of Project Pegasus, Carol's brain started to flicker. Carol suddenly woke up and used her superpowers to break free from the restraints. After dealing with several Skrulls, she questioned them about the images in her brain. The Skrulls told her that they had been looking for something called the Energy Core, which was the light speed engine developed by Dr. Lawson that kept appearing in Carol's mind. Carol was very confused after hearing this. At this time, more Skrulls arrived. Facing so many enemies, Carol couldn't use her superpowers to attack because her hands were trapped by handcuffs. Caught between two sides, she had to engage in close combat with the Skrulls. She used her extraordinary courage and wisdom to deal with the enemies. In an instant, those seemingly powerful enemies were easily defeated as if swept away by a gust of wind. However, unexpectedly, even more powerful guards suddenly appeared. They held electric batons and knocked Carol to the ground with astonishing speed and strength. She staggered back, while the energy inside her surged. Finally, she broke free from the restraints, and the handcuffs broke open, and she defeated those Skrulls. However, this attack accidentally made a hole in the spaceship, and a powerful suction force sucked her into space. She quickly put on a space helmet and returned to the spaceship by relying on the huge energy of her superpowers. In a panic, she found a small spaceship and intended to escape from there. However, at the moment of starting, the attack of the leader Talos came as expected. Finally, the spaceship crashed into a supermarket on planet C-53. Planet C-53 is our Earth. The Skrulls followed closely behind, disguising themselves as Earthlings and blending in. At this time, Earth was still in the 1980s, and the level of technology was relatively backward. In order to seek help, Carol modified a public phone to contact her friend in space, Rog. After telling him her location, the communication signal suddenly cut off. At this time, Mr. Fury, who hadn't become the director yet, and his subordinate Coulson found Carol according to the report information. However, Carol frankly said that she was from an alien planet, which surprised the two of them. Just as Fury was about to take her away for investigation, the Skrulls suddenly launched an attack. Carol wasn't afraid at all and fired photon blasts to fight back and chased after them. The opponents cleverly hid in a tram. Carol jumped onto the tram without hesitation, smashed the glass and rushed in. However, the opponents had already disguised themselves as ordinary tourists. After a search, Carol's eyes locked on an old lady. She didn't hesitate to throw a punch at the other party, and the other party also fought back with a kick. The two started to fight in front of everyone, attracting the onlookers. Everyone thought that the old lady was being bullied and stopped Carol. The Skrull disguised as the old lady took the opportunity to escape. When Carol broke free from the restraint, the other party changed appearance again and escaped to the roof of the tram. Carol followed closely and chased after, and the two fought fiercely again. The other party's heavy kick almost kicked Carol away, but she caught the edge of the tram with astonishing speed and chased after again. She aimed at the opponent and fired a deadly photon blast, but the opponent cunningly jumped back into the carriage. At this time, the tram had arrived at the station, and Carol lost track of the target. But when the opponent escaped in the guise of an old lady, Carol picked up the communication device left behind and deciphered it, learning that they would meet in a bar. So after finding out the location of the bar through an internet cafe, she went there in advance. Meanwhile, Director Fury and his companion were in hot pursuit in the car. Suddenly, his mobile phone rang. It was Coulson's call from the supermarket. He was surprised to find that the Coulson in the carriage was a Skrull in disguise. The two sides had a fierce fight in the car. Fury was choked tightly by the throat. In a critical moment, he suddenly turned the steering wheel and drove the car sideways into the opposite lane, finally killing the Skrull. Looking at the ugly appearance, Fury covered it with his own clothes to avoid causing panic among the citizens. Then, after finding out Carol's whereabouts through investigation, he also came to this bar. In order to prove their true identities, Director Fury began to talk about some embarrassing things from his childhood. Because Skrulls could only copy recent memories, these old things were unknown to them. After Director Fury finished speaking, he began to ask Carol questions. However, Carol didn't have time to prove anything. She directly fired an energy blast ahead. The two decided to jointly investigate Project Pegasus mentioned by the Skrulls. They came to the secret research base of Project Pegasus back then. Since Dr. Wendy Lawson's death, this place had become deserted. A cute orange cat walked leisurely in the corridor, adding a bit of life to this silent space. They finally came to the archive room. After a search, they found the design drawings of the light, speed engine, and a notebook recorded in Kree characters. The notebook revealed an astonishing secret. Dr. Lawson was a Kree and died in a plane crash with a pilot 6 years ago during a flight test, and the light speed engine developed back then was also damaged. However, Carol found a shocking fact in a photo. The pilot who died in the plane crash was herself. At the same time, Director Fury quietly informed his superiors of Carol's location, and the director of SHIELD led a team to come and prepare to talk with this alien visitor. However, when hearing the director of SHIELD call him Nicholas, Fury immediately realized that this person was a Skrull in disguise, because Fury had told Carol that people who knew him would only call him by his surname Fury. This was the consensus among those around him. Sensing danger, Fury walked out of the elevator in advance and tried to inform Carol and persuade her to evacuate. However, he was captured by the cunning Skrull, and a fierce battle immediately ensued. But as an Earthling, Fury was no match for the Skrulls at all. At the critical moment, Carol appeared like a Superman. She quickly subdued her opponent and escaped from danger together with Fury. They encountered Coulson at the stairway. Without hesitation, he let the two of them pass. Subsequently, they found a plane in the underground warehouse. As if guided by fate, they decided to leave here by taking it. Surprisingly, an orange cat also quietly boarded the plane. It showed a special closeness to Carol. In order to unravel the mystery of her own life, Carol found her old friend Maria as mentioned in the materials. When Maria saw Carol at that moment, her shock was indescribable. As if doubting whether she was dreaming, she told Carol about their acquaintance and the days when they became pilots together. At this time, the leader of the Skrulls, Talos, appeared. He didn't bring new conflicts but a recording. This was the record of the black box when Carol and Dr. Lawson crashed back then. After listening, Carol was shocked to find that the Skrulls' homeland had been occupied by the Kree, and the Kree even tried to exterminate the Skrulls. This truth overturned her perception. She had always thought that she was a part of the Kree. Her people had always been persecuted by the Skrulls, but the truth was exactly the opposite. So now everyone understands that the Kree want the Lightspeed engine to dominate the universe, while the Skrulls want the Lightspeed engine to find a new home that the Kree can't discover. Facing this painful truth, Carol decided to help the Skrulls. This is a difficult task, but Carol is ready. She will fight side by side with the Skrulls and strive to find a new home. In Carol's memory, the Lightspeed engine she broke at the beginning was actually only part of the energy of the Tesseract. Dr. Wendy Lawson had hidden the Tesseract near the flight path of the plane back then. To bid farewell to her past self, Carol replaced the dark green prisoner of war uniform with a brand new red and blue outfit. Then they took action quickly and flew the plane directly into space near the Earth's orbit. Carol activated the invisible appearance device on her arm, and a huge invisible spaceship appeared dreamily in front of everyone. Everyone stepped into the spaceship and immediately found the Tesseract. At the same time, Talos also found his family and the remaining Skrulls. It turned out that with the help of Wendy Lawson back then, these Skrulls had escaped the pursuit of the Kree and hidden here. However, the tranquility was broken by a sudden intrusion. The Kree led by Rog broke into the spaceship. Carol was about to counterattack, but found that her superpowers were bound by an invisible force. It turned out that Rog had installed a superpower suppression chip on her neck a long time ago, and Director Fury and the others were also captured. At the same time, in order to make Carol useful for him again, Rog connected her consciousness to the Supreme Intelligence again and tried to brainwash her again. Carol tried to break free from the other party's control, but was easily suppressed by the Supreme Intelligence. But the Supreme Intelligence underestimated Carol's willpower as a human being. Since she had never yielded since childhood, she had a powerful inner strength. When she stood up again, she easily removed the chip that controlled her superpowers. The powerful photon energy inside her finally awakened, and Captain Marvel was thus born. With a wave of her hand, she knocked down the surrounding Kree to the ground. Then she took the Tesseract and found Fury and the others who had just broken free. She wanted Fury to take the Tesseract and retreat first, but Fury said he didn't dare to keep it either. Unexpectedly, the orange cat swallowed the Tesseract. This stunned several people. Then several people took separate actions. Captain Marvel took the empty box to the overpass to hold back the Kree. Several people still wanted to attack Captain Marvel from both sides. Unexpectedly, Captain Marvel broke the bridge with one punch. The bearded man who stood up still wanted to counterattack. As a result, he was knocked unconscious with one punch. Several other people took turns. None of them was a match for Captain Marvel. At this time, Commander Rog attacked Captain Marvel from behind. Captain Marvel was knocked down to the ground by him without noticing. She was even tightly trapped by the other party with an iron block, but in the next second, Captain Marvel released huge energy and knocked him down. At this time, Rog saw the empty box and only then realized that he had been deceived. At the same time, Fury, who was evacuating, was also chased by the Kree soldiers. In a critical moment, the orange cat took a bite and swallowed all of them directly. Then they boarded the spaceship together with the remaining Skrulls and flew towards the Earth. At this time, Rog was preparing to pilot a fighter jet to pursue. Captain Marvel, who had just arrived and intended to intercept, was brought into space together. Just as Captain Marvel was about to fall to the ground, her superpower inside her body was enhanced once again at this moment. A super fast flying punch directly destroyed Rog's spaceship. It turned out that Captain Marvel at this time already had an even more powerful super light speed flight ability, and Rog's spaceship crashed to the ground as a result. But just at this moment, Ronan actually drove a super battleship to arrive. At this time, he hadn't met Star-Lord yet. Without saying a word, he launched several missiles capable of destroying a planet towards the Earth. After Captain Marvel saw this, she directly flew towards the missiles. She actually intercepted the missiles with both hands and then threw them back. This operation stunned Ronan. Facing such a situation, Ronan immediately sent countless fighter jets to besiege Captain Marvel. But as a result, not only did they not hurt her, but they were destroyed one by her. With a final super fast flight, she actually destroyed an entire mothership with her bare hands. Then she flew in front of Ronan's battleship and released a huge energy wave outside as a warning. After seeing this, Ronan had no choice but to retreat first. Subsequently, Captain Marvel returned to Earth. Looking at the almost invincible Captain Marvel, Rog actually mocked her, saying if she had the ability, don't use superpowers and fight in a hand-to-hand combat. But in the next second, finally, Captain Marvel dragged Rog and stuffed him back into the spaceship again and sent him back to the Kree planet. On the other side, Fury was happily playing with the orange cat. Unexpectedly, this guy easily scratched down and turned Fury into a one-eyed dragon. Finally, Captain Marvel returned the modified pager to Fury and told him that if there is something in the future, he can use this to call himself. Subsequently, Captain Marvel took the Skrulls to space to find a new home. After Fury, who had returned to S.H.I.E.L.D., witnessed the abilities of aliens, he decided to form an Avengers team dedicated to dealing with alien civilizations to deal with unexpected crises. And it wasn't until Thanos in Avengers Infinity War collected all 6 Infinity Stones that Fury, at the last moment, used this pager to contact Captain Marvel, who was far away in space.